Well, I hope everyone had a lovely day today. I certainly did. So, whew, feel much lighter and much more vibrant and felt like a princess after Pilates. But anyway, so there was a very interesting interaction on social media between me and a man that I actually respect. And honestly, the interaction, it showed me just how different men and women communicate. Not a bad thing at all. It just is what it is. Men and women really communicate different. Why? Because it's two different perspectives that are being shared. It just simply is what it is. And so it helped me to see, that that is what's the issue. Communication between men and women. Both are talking but are not listening to each other to understand how both see the world. It makes a whole lot of sense. So, with that being said, that interaction that I had with the man on Instagram, it actually opened up this discussion that I'm about to have from a woman's perspective on what I spoke about probably a couple of days ago, where I mentioned that in order for a woman to feel safe with a man mentally and emotionally, she he has to create a safe space for her to be naturally soft. You know, um, with that being said, a man creating a safe space for a woman to be naturally soft is just like making sure that the soil has the nutrients that the flower would need to grow. If the soil is not in good condition and it lacks nutrients, then the flower is not going to grow. It's either it's not going to grow into something soft and beautiful to look at and smell, or it will not grow properly all the way. It may grow midway and die. It may not grow at all. The point is that the soil has to be in good condition and have nutrients in order for the flower to grow. That's the same way with a man creating a safe space for a woman to be naturally soft as she is. So now there was something that was mentioned in this brief interaction between me and this man on Instagram, right? Because honestly, there was no argument, because make no mistake about it, I don't want anybody to think on here that there was an argument. No, there wasn't an argument. There wasn't a negative interaction. More like it was just two different perspectives that were being shared from a man's viewpoint and from a woman's viewpoint. That is all. And it was something that was said on my end that was received in a different way by the man than what I originally intended for him to receive it. So, but the way he received something that I said when I mentioned that there are levels and layers to why a woman has to feel safe around a man to be naturally soft and vulnerable is opening up this discussion that we are about to have. Because he mentioned something saying that um I want to word it in a way that it doesn't come off as, oh, he was being argumentative, because he actually wasn't. He wasn't being argumentative. It's just when I made that statement about there's levels and layers to a woman needing to feel safe with a man mentally and emotionally to be naturally soft. He just, it's just the way he received that particular piece of my statement. He received it in a way that um no doubt spoke to something that he experienced with women, I'm sure, in his past. And it was centered around searching for the perfect person, right? So when he mentioned something like that, I was like, oh wow, that's actually not what I meant, but that's how he received it. No doubt going based off of his past experiences with women. So when I mentioned the levels and layers part, I was talking about how because a lot of women have been through some bad experiences in their past from relationships, whether it's from parents, family, um, a man, friendship, those experiences no doubt shape how a woman would interact in a relationship, as far as whether she would feel safe mentally and emotionally to be naturally soft. Because if her environment does not allow her to be naturally soft, then how is she going to feel comfortable to be naturally soft? I hope that makes sense. So, especially if she has been through some negative experiences that have caused her trauma and put her in a position where she feels like she has to live in survival mode and has to constantly be in defense mode where she has to protect herself. So now she can't even focus on just being naturally who she is, which is soft. Because all of us women are naturally soft. Okay, so, but I don't want to, you know, uh, get off topic, because what I really wanted to talk about was how um there's a difference between women having preferences versus what we actually want at our core. Because a lot of women have different preferences when it comes to a man's height, a man's build. Does she like him slim, muscular, tall, short? Does she like for a man to smell good? Does she like for a man to have a nice smile? Those are just preferences, which of course vary, and that's on a surface level. But most, if not all, women want to feel safe. That's the main thing at our core. We want to feel safe with a man, mentally and emotionally, so that we can be naturally soft. And this is what I mean. I don't mean that, oh, if a man, you know, um, provides, because I know this is said often. I don't mean that, oh, if a man provides financially and if a man spends a lot of money on things that I want, such as going on nice trips, paying for my hair, paying for my nails, and all of that, then I'll be feminine. That's not what I'm saying. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that going on nice trips is not a good thing. I'm not saying that keeping up with nails is a bad thing. I'm not saying that keeping up with hairstyles is a bad thing. Not saying that at all, because don't get me wrong, what woman doesn't want to look nice? Even I want to look nice. If that wasn't the case, I wouldn't look the way I do right now. And to me, the way I look is just, decent. But this is what I mean by, a man has to create a safe space for a lot of us women who just want to feel safe mentally and emotionally with a man so that we can be naturally soft. So, because a lot of us women have this very thing in common where we just want to feel safe with the man, it goes beyond surface level things, and it also goes beyond feeling physically safe. We also have to feel mentally and emotionally safe with a man. Can a man keep his word? Because if a man cannot do what he says that he's actually going to do, that is going to affect the trust between that woman and that man on a mental and emotional level. If we as women do not feel like we can trust a man with our mind and our hearts, oh man, it's not going to be easy for a lot of women to be naturally soft. It's not. It's not. It's either one or two things. It's either that woman is either going to have resentment for that man, and it's going to show up in not in a very pleasant way. I'll put it that way. Or that woman is just going to just, slowly and quietly just mentally check out without the man even realizing, until she gets tired and she's ready to go. She's ready to leave this unhealthy relationship. Why? Because especially if that man has, verbally made that woman feel unsafe, such as when there's conflict between the man and the woman. If the man and the woman are not seeing eye to eye, does he raise his voice? Does he say things to put her down mentally and emotionally? Does he make her feel physically unsafe, no matter how much of financial security he gives her? Does he physically make her feel safe? Because that matters. And I could tell you this now, that that financial security, that's not going to make up for the fact that that woman does not feel physically safe with him if he is physically harming her. Same thing if he's verbally making her feel unsafe, emotionally making her feel unsafe, when he's choosing to not commit to her, when he chooses to, do other things outside of their relationship. Therefore, and the more he does it, it eats away at the trust until the point where she has mentally checked out because she does not feel safe with him to be mentally and emotionally vulnerable with him. And now she does not feel like she could be naturally soft. She now feels like she has to go into survival mode and protect herself. Whether she does it, how can I put it? Whether she does it quietly or whether she does it, outrightly where he can see it clearly. Either way, she does not feel safe. Either woman I just spoke about, the main issue is that both women do not feel safe. The only difference is that one woman is living in survival mode quietly, and the other woman is being a little bit more vocal, and probably a little bit more aggressive about it, but she still doesn't feel safe with that man, which is why she feels like she has to be aggressive, or why she has to be in defense mode and has to protect herself, because that woman cannot trust that man to protect her. And see, I'm here to tell you, it's not just physical protection that a woman needs. A woman needs to know, can a man also protect her mentally and emotionally? That's mainly what it is. Not saying that the physical protection is not important, because it is. But it's just something about a man that can protect a woman on a mentally and emotional level. When a man can protect a woman on a mentally and emotional level, he will have her heart. He will have her heart without question. Also, she will feel safe with him to be naturally soft without him having to, do so much. And she'll do it effortlessly. Effortlessly. Why? Because her femininity will feel safe with his masculinity. All because his masculinity made her femininity feel safe. Therefore, when that man makes that woman feel safe emotionally and mentally, her femininity is just going to respond with softness, effortlessly. But she has to feel safe. She has to feel safe. Think about it. Fellas, this is not something that I'm making up. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up at all. And you know what? I know I know that some, it's not all, but I know that some will say, "Oh, you know, that can't be true because it's a lot of women out here, all they care about is a man, being 6 feet and having a six pack of abs and being tall, dark, and handsome and making a lot of money." Listen, listen. That's just surface level stuff. Those are just preferences. But I know for a fact that a lot of women, despite their preferences, I know for a fact that a lot of women, they want one thing in common, which is to feel safe with a man, mentally and emotionally, in order to be naturally soft. I know that for a fact. This is coming from a woman. So I know. I know. That's one thing that a lot of women have in common. Now, I will say this to to a lot of women who do have their preferences, because we all have our preferences, but to a lot of women that are putting, or I'll say some, okay, just to be safe. To some women that are putting their preferences ahead of what they actually want and need at their core, you know what? Let me fix that for a second. To some women who, want their preferences, and they put their preferences that they want ahead of what they need at their core, which is to feel safe with a man mentally and emotionally, to feel safe, to be naturally soft. Some women, they do that because who wants to walk away from a situation empty-handed? Nobody does. Nobody does, I'm sure, whether it's a man or a woman. Nobody wants to walk away from a situation empty-handed, especially if they invest their time, their energy, and their resources into a situation for however long. Nobody wants to walk away empty-handed. Why? Because of ego. That's why. Because of ego. Am I saying that is right? No, I'm not. But I am saying that that's exactly what it is, and it's very real. But the thing is, preferences are not things that build a relationship. I've even had to learn that, you know, along the way. Preferences do not build a relationship. They don't make a relationship stick, you know? Preferences are basically accessories to a relationship. Kind of like the necklace that I have on and the earrings that I have in my ears. But what do we do with accessories? We don't wear accessories all day. We don't go to sleep in our accessories. At least we shouldn't. I mean, it makes sense to take our accessories off before we get in the shower and we put on our pajamas, right? That's the same thing with preferences. Preferences do not build a relationship. Because eventually those preferences will fade away with time. But it's things like character, personality, and qualities that build a relationship. And those are things that we women need. Okay? The character, the personality, and the qualities. Because when you think about it, what good is having a man that is tall, handsome, and he have money, but he has no good character? He has no discipline. He also does not talk to women with respect. He also does not show that he cares about his health. So how can he care about that woman? Especially if he's irresponsible with his body. He doesn't even value himself. He values the money he makes, but he don't value himself. So then how can he value that woman? Therefore, it doesn't matter how many Chanel bags. It doesn't matter how many diamonds and pearls. It doesn't matter how big of a house that man would, splurge on that woman with. If he does not have good character, if he has no respect for himself and for that woman, if he talks to her like she's not worth anything, if he just treats their relationship like it doesn't mean anything because he makes a lot of money, which means he gets to have access to many different women, how is that woman supposed to feel safe with him mentally and emotionally, to be soft and vulnerable? It's going to be extremely hard. That's all I'll say, for that woman to do that. That's all I'm going to say. We could definitely pick this up, another day, but this is really just the beginning of it all. But with that being said, I stand on that the one common thing that a lot of women need, regardless of women's preferences, is to feel safe with a man mentally and emotionally, to be naturally soft and vulnerable. So, but that's all I have for today. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.